She's from the Seattle area, and she's a wellness coach featured on Fox News, King 5, and we're so delighted to have her, so enjoy. Thank you.
So, who was at the last one? Was there a few people? Or did you stay for the prizes? I know, I'm totally on to you. So, and Michael, I'm switched out to the
Yes.
next. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay, so I was an ADD kid, so I feel like I'm kind of back to that age of like talking really fast because I have 25 minutes to try to impact your life. So I'm going to go fast and furious. We'll ask questions along the way. I will repeat your questions back because we're also filming for Camino Island. Should we turn around and wave? Okay, there we go. So I'm going to jump right into stress management. Okay, so I have a funny story to tell. Is Laura here? Okay, so Laura brought me here. Okay, so Laura, I'm telling our story from yesterday. So I sent her an email, and I said, "So excited, see you soon." And the subject line, and she texted me back right away. She said, "Oh my gosh, we have you scheduled for tomorrow. Call me now!" Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And so I thought, oh my gosh, that was so bad of me. Like, I was just perky and happy because that's who I am. And see you soon, can't wait. And she thought I was actually planning yesterday. And anyway, so I'm here, and so I totally almost gave her a mini heart attack. And then as I'm driving over yesterday, I'm from Northern California, and my mom calls and she said, "I'm about to be evacuated." I'm like, great, that's just great. My brother's there helping her pack up her house. She's not evacuated, so the winds have died down in that area, which is great. But I thought, oh my gosh, as I'm sobbing on the ferry thinking, I'm supposed to be giving a talk on stress management tomorrow. Gave Laura a heart attack. My mom is having to leave her home. And anyway, so I come by all this information quite honestly and have really used it a lot in the last few hours. So moving on, I work for a TV show called The Doctors. It's a CBS show. We film at Paramount, and that's a really fun show. I'm their 1-minute wellness coach, and so my key point I always try to make is how do I get healthy information that can change your life to you in 60 seconds or less. So that's what today is all about. I also work with Neil Cavuto at Fox Business News, but I get to film in Seattle, which is nice. And then this is a website called about.com, and I'm their belly fat expert, which is pressure. Like when I want to have a couple of bottles of wine, I'm like, oh man, okay, what can I do to cover it up? So I don't lose my job. So let's talk about stress management 101. The fight or flight, I can definitely tell you yesterday, I know Laura felt that when she thought I was showing up on the wrong day. But when I got the call from my mom yesterday about evacuating, do you ever just feel like you can't catch your breath, you know? And I just was like, oh my gosh, I'm here, you're in Northern California, can you get out? And she has no cell phone right now, no electricity, no house phone, so police are literally going door to door telling people to get out. And she's in her 70s. So that, oh my gosh, I'm powerless to really do anything about that feeling or about the situation. But even positive things of getting great news from somebody that, you know, the fires didn't come near her house, which is awesome news, but it still just can jack you up a little bit. So be it good, be it bad, we are impacted by the news constantly around us. As far as chronic stress, and this is that ongoing, you know, maybe you're taking care of a very ill newborn or a very elderly parent, of just that chronic stress of you're probably sleeping less than 5 hours a night. The sleep you're getting, you're probably up and down, waking up and going back to sleep. Migraines, overeating, alcohol overuse, immune system usually just goes to heck when you're sleeping less than 6 hours a night. And so if you're on a plane or you're on a ferry or somebody just next to you in your cubicle is sneezing, there's probably a really good chance you're going to get it. And that's what happens with that chronic stress is you just seem to never really get caught up. So probably one of the best ways to fix it is through breathing. But who wants to be doing that when you're getting that bad news, when you literally can't catch your breath? Anybody familiar with Andrew Weil? Okay, so I interviewed him about 3 years ago for the Costco Connection magazine, and it was just such a highlight for my career to talk to this man and to talk about what he does and how he helps people to calm down. And so I have a video. Should we see if it works? Okay, here goes. So I have a video. I was always an asthmatic, which you breathe up in here. You really never take your breath down to your lungs. And this breathing video has helped me so much, and he'll talk more about it. It's about a 3-minute video. But would you believe that the majority of your lung tissue is down here? And so when you see people super stressed and they're under mental attack, they're almost doing that rescue breathing, that is going to do nothing to calm them down. You've got to figure out how do you get that breathing down into the majority of that lung tissue, which is all more in your waistline. And I remember working with a breathing coach probably 25 years ago, and at first when I first started working on becoming a better breather after a lifelong challenge with asthma, I would be so sore in here. And it's because I don't think those muscles had ever moved, because I was always an asthmatic kid, hospitalized multiple times. I was allergic to almonds and walnuts. We were farmers. I was around chemicals all the time. It was not great for my future as far as really keeping me calm and relaxed. So I'm going to have you guys all sit up super straight. And this is honestly a breathing video that can be life-changing. We just need to remember how to.
The famous 4-7-8 breath, the relaxing breath that I teach to all patients and doctors and students and friends, another yoga breathing technique. In this, you try to keep your tongue in the yogic position, touching the tip of the tongue to the ridge of tissue just behind your upper front teeth, like that, and try to keep it there the whole time. You breathe in quietly through your nose to a count of 4, and you hold your breath for a count of 7, and then blow air out forcefully through your mouth. Helps if you purse your lips out and you make a whoosh sound when you do that. So the exercise begins by letting all the air out through your mouth. Then you close your mouth, breathe in silently to a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 7, out through your mouth audibly to a count of 8, and you will repeat this for 4 breath cycles. Looks like this. That's it. You must do this at least twice a day. You can do it more frequently if you want, but never more than 4 breath cycles at one time, at least for the first month. After a month, if you're comfortable with it, you can increase to 8 breath cycles, and that's the absolute maximum. It's desirable to slow the whole exercise down as you practice it. What limits you is how long you can comfortably hold your breath, but as you practice that, you'll get better and better at it. And after doing this for 4 or 6 weeks, you can begin trying to use it for things. If somebody says something that pushes your button, you do this exercise before you react. It's a great way to deal with cravings. It's a great way to help you fall asleep. If you get up in the middle of the night for any reason, get back in bed, you do the exercise, you'll fall asleep easily. After 2 months, 3 months of regular practice, there are very significant changes that happen in physiology. This lowers heart rate, it lowers blood pressure, improves digestion. It is a very powerful anti-anxiety measure, in fact, much more powerful than the anti-anxiety drugs that are commonly prescribed. Takes no time, needs no equipment, very time and cost effective. Everything to recommend it, so I urge you to begin practicing this.
He's going to take that energy drink and really party tonight. Okay. So I would put a hand on your waistline, try to really draw that breath down as you're breathing. Sometimes I'll be in a meeting and I'll just kind of look like I'm super interested, but I have my hand on my stomach to try to really get my stomach feel it exhale or popping out as I'm inhaling, flattening on the inhale. So you really want a Buddha belly when you're doing this. You really want the stomach to be extending out on every inhale and flattening a little bit on every exhale. So what I find is that has really helped me to manage my stress, but it does take a little bit of practice, and I didn't do a good job with it yesterday when I got all the bad news. In that moment, I just wasn't quite there. But later that day, I did start doing it, and I thought, oh my gosh, this really does work. And getting in that regular habit of doing it a couple of times a day works great. One of the ways I do it is when my alarm goes off in the morning, I do a couple of cycles right before I get out of bed, and it makes a big difference. So I'm going to talk about the top 5 ways, actually 10 ways, 5 on each slide here, to help to calm your stress down and allow you to get a better handle on it. Great research is showing that music can lower your blood pressure and cortisol. Cortisol is that stress hormone that always seems to be circulating, that really kind of continues to keep your blood pressure up. Specifically, the music of Yo-Yo Ma, who's a cellist, can do this. Isn't that interesting? There's actually research on Yo-Yo Ma. So I have Pandora, and so I created a Yo-Yo Ma station, and I listen to that when I'm driving, when I don't like people and people come in front of me. And I'm sure nobody here would ever do that. But anyway, so I specifically listen to Yo-Yo Ma, and that really has really been helpful. A reassuring voice for 1 minute can also really knock your stress levels down. So I usually end up calling my husband or my mom if she's not evacuated, because then that just wouldn't be helpful at all if she was panicked. But anyway, but I could help her, I guess. Oh, I guess I could be that daughter. Anyway, talking yourself through it. How many times have we just allowed our mind to go nuts on something, and then we realize, oh my gosh, I said things to myself or I said things to other people and I didn't have all of the information. I think that is my catchphrase for being in my 50s. I wish I would have had all of the information before I got that agitated or that angry or that irritated with somebody or a situation or watching the news. Maybe I should just talk myself through it and say, let's just put a pause on your emotions until you gather more information. Clean eating, avoiding white flour. Anything white is going to make a really big difference when you're in the middle of a stress attack. Not to say that having a scone or a chocolate chip cookie isn't going to allow your body to create more serotonin, because it will. Serotonin is that great feel-good, fake or real Xanax. I mean, it's like it calms you down. It's like having some Valium. However, a lot of carbohydrate is just going to make you exhausted in the next hour. So some clean eating, lots of fiber, beans and lentils, good lean sources of protein, green veggies. I'm going to talk more about green veggies in a minute, but green veggies and fruit that is not super sugary. Watermelon, not a good choice. Melons, mango, a little bit of a too high of a sugar content, but I love apples. Just about any berries specifically can also really help as far as clean eating. 3 foods to focus on a daily basis, especially if you're in a stressful season. Asparagus is actually considered a green leafy vegetable. Lots of B vitamins, folic acid, which helps to calm your brain down. I mean, the name of the game with your food is to calm your brain down, give you more energy, help you to sleep, calm you down. Asparagus, Swiss chard, kale, all of those things are going to really help to give you a good dose of B vitamins. Avocado, because of the heavy fat content, it's funny, I've been a nutritionist for almost 30 years. But back in the 80s and early 90s, I would tell my clients, don't eat avocados, nuts, or seeds because of the fat content. It was just terrible. And coming, now we've come full circle of eat more of that really great fat, the salmon, flaxseed, walnuts, almonds. Eat more of that good stuff because, again, that fat, really good for calming your brain down. And I was a Ritalin kid. And so I know I certainly didn't eat that way. I mentioned earlier my mom's from the South, and we ate Pop-Tarts for breakfast, but she did stop, she wouldn't let us get the frosted ones because those were bad. Gosh, she's such a nut. It's hysterical, but we laugh about it now because we've had a lot of counseling. But anyway, so avocado's fantastic for calming your brain down. If you're somebody who flies off at the drop of a hat, which can be me, especially if I'm not eating well, having a higher fat diet calms my head down. Probiotics, we talked a lot about probiotics. I have a couple to raffle off today. I love probiotics, some great research talking about gut health, and if your gut is happy, meaning there's lots of probiotics in your gut, it creates a substance in your brain called dopamine. And I think of dopamine as kind of dopey and relaxed and calm, like I just had a glass of wine. And so the more probiotics you have in your gut, the calmer your brain is, the happier your brain is, and there's awesome studies talking about that. It doesn't just have to be from a supplement. It can be from kombucha, yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi. Question?
Yeah. Are all brands of probiotics equivalent? I mean, is there multiple?
So the question is, how do I know a good probiotic?
Yeah.
So probably must have a small local pharmacy here or like a health food store. I think I would go in there and pick their brains. Not that Amazon isn't great. I just love local, so I try to do it as much as I can. You're probably going to expect to spend about $20 a month on a really good probiotic. Back in the 80s when we were talking about probiotics, you could only get the refrigerated ones. Those are the only that were really, really the good ones, and they were super expensive. But I would say today the technology has changed so much that you can get shelf-stable, room temp probiotics, and I'm fine with those. But get it from your food as much as you possibly can. I still think it's hard to get enough from your food if you've done a lot of antibiotics as a kid or even as an adult, so that's why I still supplement. So more stress management tips, laughing. Okay, such great research on laughter. Laughter increases your endorphins. It's great for your immune system. It's honestly a workout for your entire body. And the other thing I love about laughter is there's some great books on laughing and heart disease. I lost my dad a year ago to heart disease, and I read so much research about laughter, and I used to call him every day and I'd say, okay, Dad, how many times have you laughed today? Because I knew how important laughter was for boosting his immune system, dropping his inflammation, and it increases your circulation everywhere, including your heart. So I always tell our kids, people are like elevators. They will bring you up or they will bring you down. Stick with the ups. You want to be around happy people. Life is challenging. It's always going to be challenging, but it's really especially challenging right now with everything that's going on in the world. Do you need to have the news on? And I work for a TV station. I don't watch it unless I'm there, and then I'm there for 4 hours, and it's like, oh, I don't want to know anymore else that's going on. So figure out what you're watching on TV or just turn it off. Watch happy movies. Find people that make you laugh. Laugh as much as you possibly can. I still love coffee, and I have at least a couple of cups a day, but green tea and black tea have an amino acid called theanine. Theanine is like taking a medication that calms you down and chills you out. So I'm giving you all of the things that are just on the planet that can help to just dial you down, as good as a glass of wine without the calories. So mindful exercise, yoga. I spent the night here last night, and I did about a 5-minute yoga routine this morning. I'm not an expert, but I just was stretching. And as you're stretching, try to do that Andrew Weil 4-7-8 breath. I mean, I practically didn't make it today because I fell asleep. I was so relaxed. So I just recommend whatever you can do to connect with your body first thing in the morning, including making sure you're not waking up to a really loud alarm clock. So a more mellow way to wake up sets your intention for the day. Sleep, we talked a little bit about sleep. You gotta get at least 6.5 hours a night. Anybody getting less than that? Okay, a couple people. So whatever you can do to get more sleep. So even getting to bed 15 minutes earlier, even if you don't fall asleep, just the fact that you're horizontal can be very calming for your body. Trigger point therapy, this is one of my favorite things that I do. 2 tennis balls. Old tube sock of my husband's, tie a knot in the middle. So I recommend that you go on YouTube, look up trigger point with tennis balls, and you're going to see lots of videos of what you can do. I actually drive with this. So I put this on my low back. The knot represents my spine. And as I'm driving, I am getting a $50 massage. Actually, maybe even $60 massage as I'm driving for the cost of a couple of tennis balls. And there's, again, lots of videos what you can do with this. I also take it up, like I'll be flat on the floor and I'll put this on my shoulder blades. I have a lot of neck stuff. I got rear-ended a few years ago, so this really helps my muscles to relax and it helps you to connect with your body. So again, really cheap and easy way to relax your body. And there it is. And check in personal life. We have about 2 or 3 minutes. I'm going to go through this rather fast. Light, staying off of your screens an hour before bed. So even a cell phone, we have a tendency to put it this close to our face. The light that comes out of that cell phone, it sends a signal to your brain through your eyeballs that, oh my gosh, Deborah, it's not 10 o'clock at night, it's actually 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you have a meeting, you're still at work. So it's going to create more cortisol and make me more alert and awake. So I want to get rid of my screens at night. You can dial down the lightness, but if you're using a Kindle or an iPad to read books, I recommend, if you're not a great sleeper, considering going back to regular books. Also being careful, posture, 60-degree bend, 60 pounds of pressure on your neck. This is about a 60-degree bend. That's not much. We do that on our computer workstations. So again, always thinking, how can I pull my shoulders back? When you're in better posture, your stress is lower because you're a better breather. And I remember working with cadavers when I was getting my degree and working on people who had had terrible posture as they'd aged and seeing what their lungs look like and seeing what their kidney looks like because they had such bad posture that it really misshaped their organs. So sitting up straight can really help to lower your stress. I'm going to go ahead and go to the last slide so you can see what I'm buying at Costco and what I'm cooking and lots of health tips while Linda comes up. And we have a raffle. Everybody has their raffle ticket. And I'm going to answer questions as we're getting ready. So I know I kind of went through that lickety-split. So question?
So the Andrew Weil video said
Anybody
4
else
times
not?
a day, most of the men actually get, why? What?
Because so the Andrew Weil video, why only 4 times a day? It's not that easy to do, and it is very calming, and I think it takes people a little while to get used to being that calm and integrating it into their lives. I know that the first couple of times I did it, I probably did it I was disobedient, and I did it probably 10 times, and I was kind of a little lightheaded, so I'm sure it's really more of a safety tip of, it's a stress management, so go into it